And welcome back to another episode of SNG Experience. We've been away for a while, but we've been really busy doing all kinds of stuff that we really couldn't show on the show, and really probably wouldn't have been that interesting to you. Lots of things like storyboards and writing and contacting actors and talking to people about our new show, But Something Is There. It is going to take up a lot of time, but we are getting back to the actual pre-production of it, which means you're going to get to see more behind the scenes of things being made for the show. Additionally, I have been doing lots of pointed ears again, and I know what you're thinking. More pointed ears? Enough with the pointed ears? Well, here's the deal. This is a special case this time. We've got Brandon Stacy, a fine actor who has been doing Spock for Phase 2 Star Trek. So we are doing new prosthetic Vulcan ears for him, and here's the deal. We're going to actually take Leonard Nimoy's original ears molds, clay press them, and graft those ears, or should I say adapt those ears to fit Brandon Stacy's, which has never been done before, and they are from my original sculptures done for the motion picture back in 1978. So that makes it a little different, and we'll see if I can actually pull this off. I think I can. Then also we've got Paul Forrest, who's known as Vegas Spock, and of course by now many of you are really familiar with his face, since CBS decided to use a picture of him doing this, and the fact that he's been so popular. He really looks like Nimoy. He really looks like Mr. Spock, and in a lot of ways he is Mr. Spock. He's an amazing human being. He's a sweet gentleman, and we actually had the privilege of having him here at the studio at a late Sunday night, because he was in town for a convention. He came up here as Mr. Spock with the ears on and everything, and we cast his ears, and you're going to get to see that, because we're going to make him his own, very own custom ears that he can use in his further journeys of Mr. Spock. So that's pretty cool. So that's what we're going to be seeing this week. It's a pretty long video. We're going to see a lot of cool stuff. I do want to take this time to point this out. I meant to a long time ago address this, and this is Christopher Lee's life mask. Now this is just a partial. The real life mask was half his head and all of his neck that I did, and I did this back in '76 for a movie called End of the World, where I had made a very elaborate prosthetic for him with a headpiece and facial appliances to make him look like this big domed-headed alien. And then Chris asked me and the producers if we could please do it another way. After all the work I had done, I'd made the prosthetics, the foam pieces and stuff. He didn't want to go through it again. He had just done it too much in his Hammer film days. And of course we obliged, and I ended up making a mask of sort of this gray alien creature you see at the end of the movie. And that's me, actually, supposed to be him. But the backstory is that the life mask disappeared, and so did the mold, and it turned up at Haunted Studios. Now, evidently Haunted Studios was approached by someone a long time ago who sold them the molds, or the life mask, I don't know which, and of course they produced them, but they didn't know that I was the one that made that. So they now are giving me credit, and they sent me a copy of this. This is a resin copy of the life mask. It's available for Haunted Studios, and I really want to thank them so much for giving me credit for my work and the fact that I did this life mask. And that was a great experience in itself, and I will talk about that at one time. We are now also, if you go to our website, making life masks, family arm and hand casts, body partial casts, pregnancy casts, any number of different castings of your body that will be cast in white plaster, and will be something that you have as a memento preserved forever, literally. You can go to our website to see more about that. It was Mary's idea. Great idea, and we are now offering that as a service. And we already got our first client who's going to be here on the 20th, so we're very excited to have something different to do here at the studio like that. Anyway, let's get on the show. I've rambled on long enough. We have Brandon, and your last name is?
Stacy.
Brandon Stacy here, who's been playing. We have Darren Doctorman here too, making trouble. And of course, many of you know he plays Mr. Spock and has on Star Trek Phase 2 since 2009. I just found out. And we are making a new prosthetic ears for him that will be made out of what's called skin flex, which is a I'm drawing a blank. What's that called? A polyurethane material. Similar to the silicone ears, they won't have any seam and stuff. So the first thing we have to do, of course, is make him look silly in a ball cap with all this hair and a beard.
I think we got that.
And cast his ears so he can lose this all later and become Mr. Spock again. Do you, in fact, have to cut your hair to the Spock cut when you do that character?
I do not. I wear a wig.
Good.
Thankfully.
Thankfully.
The beard will be gone.
Terrible scissors.
Unless they would like me to be evil.
You gonna be evil, Spock?
No, I won't.
Hmm?
I don't think so. I would have fun doing that. But I'll take my Velcro beard off.
Right. Velcro beard. Here's a casting in latex of Leonard's original ears I did for the motion picture. And you can see, I'm just sort of tucking him in here, how well they fit him. I was noticing that his ears are very much like Leonard's, a little smaller, but it's just amazing how well these adapt. So what James asked me to do originally was there some way of adapting Leonard's original sculpt that you did to his ears? And I said, well, I really don't know, but you know, I can make him new ears and sculpt them to look like that. But now I'm thinking I might clay press the real ears, and then adapt them to his positives of his ear castings and blend them in just to suit his ears. And then he's actually wearing the original sculpt, which is a great bit of trivia for the fans.
Yeah,
so
very cool.
Let's try to do that, don't you think?
Awesome.
Yeah. But I just look at that. That's really quite amazing. Leonard's original ears. So not to either one of them that much.
You didn't do that?
Because they asked for my help too a while back. In fact, at one point they were going to shoot my Enterprise for Star Trek Continues, but and Vic called me up. We had a nice talk and stuff, but I haven't dealt that much with James. So here we are. We got one ear cast, and now we're doing the other one. I'm just waiting for this alginet to set up, and then we're going to put some plaster bandage gauze to support this as a mother mold. And it is going off as we're speaking.
Are we going to make this a drone that everyone can?
Drones, you guys talking about drones?
Okay.
So that's pretty much set up now. We're going to do the plaster bandage gauze over this to support it. The plaster bandage gauze, which is just what it says. Plaster bandage is plaster coated. Actually, the gauze is coated in plaster. That's what we've been using for years as an alternative to using just plaster of Paris, which is what we used to use a lot of in the early days. Just plaster of Paris. So you have to make up the plaster of Paris and glop a big bunch of it on the surface to support it as what we call a mother mold. This works a lot better. This is fast cast. It'll go off very quickly, especially in the warm water.
Daddy.
Crossing.
Daddy, stop.
The Tom Rock.
Yeah. Daddy, it's me, Mouse.
So that's 2 years old, huh? Okay. Crossing again. This one on this side. Now sometimes we'll do this and we'll look inside and the ear casting is not good and we have to do it again. So far, the last 2 times I've done this, it doesn't happen. So but you never know. And I always try to prepare people for that possibility, because if there's a bubble or something in a critical area that was in the material. But you notice how I very thoroughly kept pushing this stuff up into the crevices of your ears and everything, so I just would not have that problem. It worked really good last night. Paul's came out just beautiful. So. Okay, so we're going to pull these off now. They're nice and hard. I don't want to tap too hard because you'll hear that. And we're going to peel this away up here. Maybe we're not. I'm going to get in here and do this. And we're going to pull off very slowly. And of course, there it goes. A little bit on the hair.
Let's see that.
I'll just slide right off because of Vaseline. And you've got a really nice ear casting. I don't see anything wrong with it at all. I got everything I need in there. So we're going to pour some stone in it in a second. Let me get this one off too. Same deal. Always going from the lobe, pulling up. Could feel it pulling on something. We got a little bit of your hair in there. We do. And this one also looks really good. So we got a popsicle stick over there so we can see. Yeah, we're good. We got one little bubble there and it doesn't matter. Tiny little one. So now we're going to pour this up very quickly with the Ultracal, which I'm going to mix. Here we have Ultracal 30, which is a very hard tool stone, which we've used for years. It's a lot like plaster. You mix it with water, and it hardens up. But this is called stone, so because it's actually almost as hard as stone when it sets up. And originally, years ago, we used pottery plaster, which is not very strong. So I'm banging it like this to make sure that I get down in there and then capture any air. I'm going to put this back in the mother mold. We're going to put this back in the mother mold. Get in there. Being thorough. Very thin mix, but the reason I'm using such a thin mix is so that I make sure I get down in there. That way. You can see how flexible this material is. If I did not have the support on it from the Plaster Advantage, then it would be a distorted casting, and that's why we do that. Sure there's no air trap down in there. No bubbles coming up, good sign. And we pour up the last on top, and then as it gets thicker I'll pour more on it as it starts to thicken up so that it's well supported. And we'll pop these out a little bit when they harden up. In a little while. Okay, Brendan, here we go. We're going to open up these molds and take a look at your ears.
Nice stone ears.
Yes, nice stoned ears. Be very careful not to break them. You can see them kind of being born out of the material. And there we are. Just like in the big movies. I mean, there's a few little bubbles I went to chip out and stuff, but you know, that's always the way it is. We got plenty of clearance back here to sculpt around the edge and everything. We're gonna
funny little things. I didn't know my ear was so crooked.
They're exact reproductions.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
I'm just making sure that there wasn't any distortion or some problem. I'm going to open up the other one here. always worry I'm going to break them because ears are very thin. Once I get that off, I'm happier. Also very good. Pick that out by hand here. The nice thing is that I can grind all this material away. This is the ball cap sitting up there, but that's basically it. There's a little bit of cleanup to do on them, not much, but that's what we need to make your Spock ears. Of course, what's going to happen with this is that these are going to be removed from all this backing material here, so I have just the ear. And then I'm going to make this little sort of oval shape or circular shape out of plastic. And I'm going to pour more of the same material in it, and I'm going to sink the ears down into that material and kind of cock at an angle so I have more space behind here. And then that will set up and we'll have this very hard stone piece with your ear mounted in it very cleanly. And then I'm going to make a silicone mold, which is a rubber silicone mold off of that.
Awesome.
And from that mold I can make ears of ears over and over again with the back plate for sculpting ears should we ever have a problem.
With anything.
We're not, we don't put all our eggs in one basket with this one set of ears, which could be dropped on the floor and broken, and you'd have to go through the whole thing again. So these are going to be made into replica molds to make the ears over and over again, just like we did on Star Trek The Motion Picture. So,
Nice.
so we got good ears set to go, and of course now I got to do the rest of the lab work and do the sculpting and everything like
Awesome.
that. So thanks so much for coming.
That's fantastic. I look forward to seeing it. I know it's
Yeah.
going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome. Well, Paul, you made it all the way from Canada to our studio. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, stopping
It's really
by
great.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, well, it's really great to finally meet you. And I've been bugging you for a long time about getting you up here to make you some ears.
Yes,
That
I
will
wanted
fit you,
to.
that are custom fit to your ears. So
Yes, it's going to be a good process.
yes, it is.
Yeah, we'll see.
So we're going to, well, we showed you around the studio, so now we're going to show you what we're going to do. So
Yes, because I have no idea exactly, how you're proceeding.
Right.
And, yeah, that's going to be
we're
a
going
great
to do to
experience.
you what I did to Leonard Nimoy back in 1978.
Wow, that's great to know. And I always wanted to. I was curious about the experience, and I wasn't sure about what I was going to go through. What could I expect from this experience? And then the more I thought about it, I said, oh, okay, it is going to be important for me. It is going to be something that I'm going to enjoy and in the future too. I just could not understand why you wanted me here. Absolutely, and I was like, those ones fit great. And you said,
Well,
no,
yeah.
no, I'm going to make your own cast.
That's right.
That was
That's right.
all right.
He's actually wearing Leonard's ears from the Star Trek The Motion Picture
And it
that
fit
I
me
made over the
perfectly.
year. They fit you very well. Wait
Yeah.
till you see how well the ones I made.
I say perfectly
They'll look
until
like this, but you won't have any problems with them blending in. And you put so much care and work into doing this character. I just had to do this for you.
Good. Very nice.
So let's
to
go
hear.
show you
Thank
what we're going to do.
All right.
Okay, Paul, well, the first thing we got to do is get your ears off so I can mold them. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. This is the molds I did for, are these getting in camera? Okay.
A girl?
No, this is for a man. This is for Kai,
Really?
who's the assistant and one of the producers on For the Love of Spock documentary. And this is the stone ear that was cast, and it's mounted in a back plate. And this is the back part of it. This is how we did these things back in those days, before we had silicone.
Wow.
And then we've got this as the top part. We put the foam rubber in there and go like this. And that's how we did it for the documentary. You could even see
There's
the
some
remnants of the
material
foam
in it.
rubber. We're going to do something similar for you, but
not done.
because you've got these types of ears and you want to be able to take them off and on repeatedly, and we're going to do them out of latex. I don't want a seam on them, so I'm going to have to go through this whole process of making the molds that way, and then make what's called a master from it. And this is an original Leonard
Nimoy.
Yeah, this is his original molds.
78.
Yeah, same thing. You can see, you recognize the sculpture. This is the rubber piece that we had made back in 1978 in order to make more molds for continued production through the show. since these molds would break out and crack and stuff. But once I have this, I can make a one-piece mold off of it with no seams. And so this way, and then from that, we make another mold out of plaster that absorbs rubber, and we pour the rubber in and get these types of ears. So that's the stages we're going to go through to make you your own
3
ears.
stages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just I like to be thorough. So if you can remove those, we'll put a ball cap on you.
All right.
And they're just on with toupee. Wow, that's amazing. That looks really good. And we're going to put a ball cap on you to protect your hair. Let's see if we can actually get this stuff to start sticking.
Yeah, still a little wet.
Yeah, it is. Pull my finger and drag it around to dry it a little bit more. Cut off that piece there. And so, how did you start doing this? Just out of curiosity.
Well,
I
I
get
was-
asked this all the time.
Oh yeah, well, you know, once or twice a week. It's manageable, you know. It's a strange story because I decided I was going to go to Las Vegas for the winter, and oh, you see, it's already sticking.
Yeah.
And I was there for about 1 month after leaving Toronto. And one guy that was dressed up like Superman, he tells me, "You look like Neill and Nimoy. You should dress up like Spock and come work with us on Fremont Street." And I tried it about 2 weeks later, and it really caught on right away. I had a rough haircut that I cut too short. I had bad $5 eBay ears. A basic green shirt that I got for $4 at Savers on Charleston, and I made some braids with some golden, material. And really a rough version of Spock, really. All this because I found a plastic logo at a seamstress little shop she had, a little kiosk in a flea market. So because I found that logo, I said, okay, I'm going to build a shirt. And from there, that's it. I went to buy some pants at Goodwill for $8 that I had for 4 years, and they were still looking brand new 4 years later. And some boots at the Army surplus. And for $30, and that was it. I had my first Spock outfit, and I tried the first night, and it worked. And I went the second night, and it worked even better. So, imagine after 1 month, I received. My hair grew, so I started looking even more like Spock when the hair was the right length. And I bought a blue shirt. I started with a cheap blue shirt from China, again on eBay. This one was blue. I was so happy I was getting a blue shirt.
Not a red one?
No, that's not the question. It was what type of shirt? What type of blue? Anyway, it was kind of turquoise blue. It was ugly, but still to me it was blue better than the green one I had. So anyway, that was the start. Yeah. Then I got a real nice one made, and the boots. I got some Italian boots. Nice leather boots.
It's so hard to find the boots.
Yeah. For men, there's 200 types of pairs of shoes for ladies, high boots. Try to find one for men. It's really, you have some there on eBay, but it's $200 and it's leather. It's not leather.
And they're
It's
$200.
really, yeah.
And yet I found my
no,
Batman
no,
boots, which are called Gotham boots, and they're just wonderful.
Really?
They were like $60, but they're not good for Star Trek. I tried.
Well, yeah.
They're not right. I did it, and I got away with it for one party, but they're black leather boots, but they go up real high, and they have a V cut on it, but you can't see it when you've got the pants on. But
Many types of them probably would, look good, but most of them are far from the original.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Then I went to Willie's last week and got myself a pair of real, original Star Trek boots.
Wow.
Yeah. And he showed me a pair. I met two guys that have that boot, and I went, okay, that is the one I want. And they told me where to get it. So I went to order it Thursday when I arrived in Hollywood. Then I went for an audition, so that was nice in Beverly Hills.
Wow.
For a project, related to CBS, so that could be good too. I don't know. I never know where this face is going to lead me.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in my life? From then on, I'm not the one deciding. I can only, hope for the best.
Has any of the fan shows, the Star Trek Continues faced?
Oh, they all have their Spock. I
know, but
came
have
in
any
the scene way too late.
But have any of them talked to you? I would really be surprised if they haven't. In fact, one of them's coming here tomorrow for the one for Star Trek Continues
Oh,
and
no.
casting his ears.
Like I said, they all have their Spocks, and
Yeah, they
they've
do.
been friends forever. And I got no space in those shows. They started way before I was discovered as a Spock. Yeah, so I'm just doing my little thing, and we'll see how it goes.
Cool. I think these are staying down now.
Yes,
Coming
yes.
I just need to stay down long enough
Oh
just
yeah,
to get the
I'm not
outfit
moving
on.
too much.
This will feel pleasantly warm. This is our prosthetic grade alginate.
Well,
Capture.
warm, yes, but pleasantly warm, I'm not sure. It's a little
Well,
strange.
it's a lot better than if it were cold. And of course, this one on the rug.
You're right.
It
about
has to
that.
go on the rug. It's a prerequisite. It has to happen that way. At
And
least it
it's
did it on my shoes, so that's all right. We're going to do one ear at a time because I have a great deal more control that way. Because it's going to run and run and run. Being prosthetic grade, it takes longer to set up. And
But because it's warm water, it's
going to kick it off faster than usual. Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay.
I want to make sure that we got it all in the places that it needs to be to make nice looking ears.
I think it looks more like a Ferengi right now.
Yeah, I have such big ears right now.
More cauliflower ears. Okay. And it's running and running, and yes, it will set up sometime this year.
Yeah.
I'm
Keep
trying to run
putting it
over
up,
here.
huh?
If it runs down and get more, because the thicker it is, then I don't have to back it up with. Oh, it is starting to go off. How lovely. I don't have to back it up with plaster damage. I guess I'm a little tired. I've been doing this for too many years. Actually, I've been doing it for enough years. That warm water really made that go off fast, which is what I
Oh,
want.
good, good.
It makes it nicer for everyone. For me, for you, for Mary, and for James.
'Cause normally, you don't use warm water?
If we need a lot of working time to cast a body, arm, full face, we want more time to work
Okay,
with it. So,
yes. But
yeah.
small parts is okay.
And then behind the ear too is important. So we get the full wraparound. In fact, because it's going off quickly, I have to move just like the old days, and it's running down there, which I don't want it to do, because then it'll get on your shirt. Besides being most uncooperative. Alright, come on. Time to go off before I go crazy. Alright. Start to go off. Alright, I'll just stand there and hold you up. One thing is when I do this, I know I'm getting all the detail because I've smooshed it up and around and over so many times that you know it's gotten into all the nooks and crannies. Okay, we're starting to experience some slowing down. Sometimes we just lay the person down and like let gravity
Yeah,
work
yeah.
for us. But the nice thing is that the stuff does come off so easily. It just doesn't stick to anything, not even itself. If I was to not have this be thick enough and wanted to make put some more on it, you can't do it. It won't stick to itself. You have to like put cotton in it really quickly, like at this stage, if that's going to happen, and so it gets kind of fuzzy, and then you can lock the material to itself. And I made a mess down there. I'll put it in for sure. Okay. We're going to pull this first one off. And you'll notice it comes off very easily.
Wow.
You got your ear back.
Yes.
As
I
far
can
as
hear
I
you.
can tell, we got a good casting. But what's interesting, I see. Yeah, this is a really good casting. Boy, is this good. You can see, even the cotton's right there.
Cottons get caught.
Yeah, the cotton's got caught. Very good. So we're going to go ahead and take this Ultracal 30. I very smartly had standing by. But first I'm going to run a little water in there to kind of get that moist. And this stuff shrinks very quickly, so we want to get this in there very quickly. We want to make sure it's in everywhere it's supposed to go.
When you say fast, how fast?
This material here will not go off terribly fast. It'll take 15, 20 minutes. or
Oh,
more for it.
okay. You got more than a few minutes. Okay.
Yeah, but it does start getting thicker, and what I want is make sure that you see the bubbles coming out, that we don't have a bubble in there,
We don't want a bubble.
because you've got your ears have interesting details. And,
I know.
and this closes in on itself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I think
very,
that
very
part's
close
called,
in the
I
back.
should- Yeah, so I want to make sure that's all in there,
Okay.
and then pour that up on there, and get it all over the place, including me.
Yep. It splashes.
I just can never be too sure. So now I'm going to put this on a cup. So because that one did not hold its shape as well as I would like it to have, I am going to reinforce this one with some plaster bandage gauze. This is quick set. We'll set it very quickly, and that'll create its own little mother mold to support it, so we don't have any distortion. Okay, so this is now, as you can hear, hard and set up. So
5 minutes.
yeah, pretty fast. Now you can very carefully move this ear, and it has its own support now. And let's see, how did we do here? It looks really good. Got a little bit of a bubble down in here, but it's down here where it don't matter.
Don't matter at all.
No, not even a little bit. The only drawback about having this is I can't flex it, but it'll pop out of here, and I can just put it back. So that holds it really well. We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to mix up some more Ultracal 30, it's a fancy name, and we're going to put it in there. Okay, I think these are hard enough that we can open them up very carefully.
Oh, the first part of the material is very rubbery. It just comes off. like that.
Yeah, it's like that.
Detaches very easily.
You can see there's your earlobe. There's more of your ear.
Yeah.
It's like your ears are being born.
Wow. So how much different are they from Mr. Neill?
Different.
Very different. Over
Yeah.
here, you can see this. It's very thick, right? And Neill was way larger and thin on the other side.
These are beautiful castings. They really are.
Good. All right.
Yeah, they really are. They are very nice. What I need to do is dig that piece out here, which I'll do in a second, but let's open this one too while we're in the kitchen. And we actually are in the kitchen.
Exactly.
Yeah. Same thing, you have a little air bubble down there, but that'll not be a problem because it's not in the part that we need. Be very careful because it's a little green, the material still, so you don't want to snap or break anything. It looks like we got another really good one.
Yes. That's so spam. Oh yeah, that's the cotton again.
Yeah, and then that whole part there, and see, because you have very tight clearances.
Yeah.
Between this part of your ear and this part of your ear.
Yeah, but my ear, the prosthetic goes on top of that.
Yeah.
All right, so it covers perfectly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but now we're going to have the same shape because I'm going to use these same ears.
And it's going to fit.
In fact,
my
what
range.
I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of clay press from the original molds of the ears.
Yeah.
And then
so they look exactly like that.
So they'll be clay like
fit
this, and then
here.
we're going to bring them down like that, and then blend it into your ear and readjust them a little bit.
Wow.
But they'll still be from the original sculpture. So
You're-
a little sharper.
You really need to clean all that inside.
Well, it's just
Going over it.
it will. The clay sculpture will and everything, but I still don't want that in there.
Oh,
It
this
could-
part. Yeah.
The white stuff.
Well, it's not touching, but I know it's really close. Two parts are really close together.
You know what? That's going to dry during the night and shrink.
It's going to be easier. Yeah.
I think, yeah. All right, Paul. Well, here you are. These are your ear castings, and these are just incredible. They're exactly what I need. As I said before, we're going to mount these in back plates next week, and we're going to start the process of making you your own custom ears.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is
It
amazing.
was really cool to get
Good
you out here to
job.
do this. This has really been a lot of fun.
Well, yes,
And I
was
can't
in
wait
LA
to see
anyway.
you in your own very own ears, which
In a
I
couple-
think you greatly deserve.
Couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good work. Thank you
Right.
very much,
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Neill.
It's a pleasure.
Oh, it was a pleasure for me. What an experience. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
you're
very
welcome.
much.
And that's it. That's how we do that. We'll be doing more, of course, on this as we work through the week. So now that we have Brandon's ear cast, what we need to do is chip away everything up to the back side of the ear there, and on here too, which is kind of hidden by the bulge in the bald cap, which came loose, and plus he had a lot of hair there. We're going to get rid of this and then mount these in back plates, and we'll do the same thing with Paul. So that's what we're going to be kind of doing today, among other things. Okay, using a Dremel tool, I ground away. Now I can get all the way back behind the ear here on both of these, and I left them very crude and very choppy like this because I'm going to put these into back plates. Okay, see, I can get back. There's a little bubble back there. I got a alginate or something I got in there. I got to fill that in. Not a problem though. I mount these in back plates and mount them at such an angle that it will enable me to sculpt behind them and have clearance behind them for the mold to be thick on the back and not really thin like it has been in previous molds in the past. Now, you'll notice that if you look at the old style molds like this one here, done for Kim for the Spock doc for Adam Nimoy, it gets pretty thin back here. And that's because this is the way we used to do it, and we didn't have quite as much space on the back side to work, and I want to gain more space by actually angling the sculpture a bit more. Why doesn't that fit? There it goes. So we're going to do that, and you can see I fill in a lot of the areas that aren't going to be necessary, because really all we need is this to be filled into here. These can be completely filled in. We just need this area here and across here and this edge here to make the ear really work. So what am I doing now? Many of you have seen this over and over again. In fact, I've even had complaints about enough with the ears, but in this case, these ears are very, very special because they're both being done for people who are playing the role of Mr. Spock. One for Phase 2 with Brandon Stacy, another for Paul Forrest, who is Las Vegas Spock and is an incredible Spock. I wouldn't even call him an impersonator. He is Spock. You'll see I've taken these, this is just styrene here, and I'm making little circles, and I'm making them all the same size that fit around the ear. Because I'm going to fill these up with UltraCal 30 and sink these in at an angle and brush the material in and around until these lock into place, and then I'm going to hand tool them, and then we're going to make silicone molds off of those, because that gives you protection. It's like backing up data on a hard drive. You'll see as I progress. So basically all I do, this is just styrene. You can buy styrene just about anywhere. You can look online if you live someplace where there isn't a plastic supply store that carries it, and you can order it. And you can order it in any thickness. And this is about 010, maybe 020. This is 010. This is 020. It doesn't matter. You don't want it too thick, or it won't bend so beautifully as you're seeing now. And I'm going to take some gaffer's tape and tape it, hold it together. The nice thing about making all your molds approximately the same size is they stack well, and it just looks neater, and you don't have problems putting things in the oven because one mold's bigger than the other. They're all the same size. You can stack them up pretty well. So, and I'm going to, in fact, CA this to the table here in a second so that it can't leak and it can't move. There's another one. And we're going to do one more here. Hopefully I have just enough to do it, and I do. Get them approximately the same size. Okay. And I cut it pretty short, so right on the edge. So, tape.
I'll put it on the cloth.
And then we've got another one here. And that gives us all of those. And now I'm going to go get some cyanoacrylate. A lot of you have asked, we keep saying CA. What is CA? Well, I assume a lot, and I should never do that. But, CA is a common term for superglue. We don't call it superglue anymore. We call it cyanoacrylate. And the superglue you get in the store, of course, is the stuff that is very thin, and it's for making repairs. When you actually buy tubes or bottles of cyanoacrylate, CA, you can get it medium, thin, and thick. So I've got some Satellite City cyanoacrylate here, and I'm going to just kind of glue it down the table. Like so, trying to keep this round as possible. Little kicker, and one more glue here. The tip is gone, unfortunately, but you get the idea. Kicker, and then we're going to do the same thing with this one. Some of the UltraCal will leak under, but not much, so kick off pretty fast anyway, so we're not going to do this all the way around. Okay, there's another one that I can't move or float when I pour in the UltraCal. Dotting it in a couple of areas, hitting it with the kicker, hold it in place. Okay, that gives me that one, and now the last one. What to do? There we go. Now, next step, of course, is to, oh yes, and you probably, if you're new to this, the kicker is when you go to a hobby store and you buy cyanoacrylate in a tube like this. There's many different brands you can get, but it's all the same thing. You ask for CA, and this is medium, and this is the zip kicker. This makes it accelerate, makes it set up like instantly. So that's what I mean by kicker. Oh, here we got our Ultracal 30, which is the hard plaster stone that you know about already. And I'm pouring it in here, like so. The idea of making what we call the back plate. Once I get my hands free, I'll take the camera off and show you. You don't need it to be super thick, and especially in the light of the fact that I will be, in fact, making these castings from the silicone mold we're eventually going to make in resin, 2-part resin, polyurethane resin, because they won't break the way the stone did. I mean, before we had that material in the old days, God, if you dropped a mold or something and broke it, and that was the only one you had, the only casting you had of that person's ears, you had a problem. So let me get my hands out of these gloves. And there's a couple little things I want to patch up while I'm in the kitchen. A little nick I put in his ear right there. The rest of it I'm going to do with clay. You see how easily I patched that ear. In 5 seconds it's all back to where it was from the Dremel tool nicking it. And then there's a cavity in the back of this ear that I don't know where that came from, but I think there's alginate lumped in there. So I'm going to sort of force this in. It always helps to have a little sculpting tool to do this. There we go. And we're going to force a little more in there. And at this stage, it's very easy to work with this material with a brush and water. It smooths very fine. But for the back here, I don't have to even worry about that. And his ear is repaired very nicely, so that's good. So now, what I want to do is, not mixing these up, is take these and set them in here. At an angle, like I'm doing here, and then you just kind of build the material up over here. In a little while here, it'll start to set up, and we'll smooth it up more. Drop this in, kind of at an angle like so. And now I just have all this room to get behind the ear, which is like very critical. Boy, he's got some big ears. It's alright, Paul. You do. But you're a big guy. 6'8". My God. That's tall. You got that one in. I'm going to shove it down a bit to account for the ear that will be going up. Which I wasn't thinking of. Move this down. Like so. His ear is going to go like that into, so I need space there for that, which I forgot about. But that's okay, because it's still moving, and we can give ourselves that time. There we go. That should give me enough to clear, just clear it. Since it's silicone, I don't worry about it being thin out here. This one could actually be moved down a little more. Okay, but you get the idea, and I'm going to do this to also Brandon's. So here we go. We've got all the back plates in, and I've got plenty of room there to sculpt and cast the ears. So, and these are already trying to open up, so why don't we just help it? And you can see, I can probably just lift this right out of here. There we go. And there's our whole plate. It's an entire back plate. And it's really nice. And so we're going to release the rest of these. So we have all of these. The sculpture goes from here to here. And then we're going to do a silicone and a stone jacket. But we'll get into all that later, because what we want to do right now is protect ourselves. And I'm going to go in with some water-based clay and kind of fill in all these areas here, this area in here. I'm going to go up behind the back and make this a little bit smoother. And then we're going to make our silicone mold off of all of these, so that anytime if I want one of these out of stone, plaster, resin, or epoxy, I can do it. One little detail I forgot is that we need to have keys in here, both to key the outer jacket, and the inner jacket is of course locked in by the outer jacket. So, and I can explain this more as we move along, but we need keys. And so what I'm using here is this router bit on a drill, which is something we've used for a long, long time. I'm going to put one right here, since this will not be a two-piece mold. And that gives us a very nice little round key, which I think you can see there. So there you go. And you get this nice little key. So I'm going to do that in various locations. Go. It's come out really nice, and they're really nice and clean and smooth inside, and they'll walk good. Okay, now that we have these, we're going to go to the next step, and I figured probably the best thing to do, rather than just fill it in with stone, since I'm going to make a silicone mold, is that I'm going to gap everything in clay, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it. This way the appliances are not hanging up, the actual prosthetics, inside of little cracks like this. And to get this clay in here, I'm using Chavant clay. This is a very, very good modeling clay, originally used actually for sculpting car bodies back in the days before computers. They might even still use it. But basically, I want to do this because then this will be replicated every time I produce one of these in the silicone, out of the material I cast from the silicone. Be clear about this. So we want to get that filled in. We're not going to need any of this down here. I'm going to slip in my tea. And I'm going to actually kind of work my way up all the way to under here a bit, because we don't need it catching there. So, and the prosthetic is going to come and blend right on this edge. So the more I do this, the better. It makes it easier for the piece to come out of the mold. Also, it makes the ear stronger too. Now, you're going to have to always keep in mind where your prosthetic sculpture is going to end. In my case, it's going to be right here, down into here, and across this way, and across there. So I'm going to get some tools here, but you get the idea. And I'm going to do this to all of these, and smooth this whole thing out with the clay, and then we're going to make a silicone mold. So there's the Chavant clay, and it's, we're going to show you this up close. And there's our ear, and I'm filling in those areas that I don't need because the prosthetic will cover it anyway. So what I'm doing now is I'm using Turpenoid, because the Turpenoid really works good in cutting Chavant clay. It also works really good to cut, what I mean by cut, you've got this pretty hard clay here, and you want to smooth it. This is what the Turpenoid does to it. It breaks it down, it's a solvent. And also if you're working with Super Sculpey, you're wondering what smooths Super Sculpey? Turpenoid does. Now what's so great about this is I can just get right in there, smooth all this stuff down, and it makes it all blended in to the rest of the work, the stone. The nice thing is I can clean this off afterwards, and then I have a full ear that has not been filled in to test fit the ears to, which is real handy. You got a real ear there to see how it looks, how it fits, and that stuff. And you can do that on the back plate version too, but this is just going to be better. You know, eventually I will pick all this clay out. And basically you get rid of all the undercuts this way, and I see that that clay collapsed in there. Here, a little more in there. And it's so soft now that I can just get in there so easily, which is good. So that's all smooth now. You can see. You can use your finger too and get it really smooth. Now, this is going to work out really, really nice. There we go. One more of that in there. Do not splash that on my Saturn V. That would not be good. We're running out of room in here because my Nissan Z was now taking up part of the bay. It's not good to leave it sitting out in the elements. So, okay. So that's pretty smooth now. We'll let some of that evaporate, the goo, and hole right there. Good. And then, you know, basically you end up with a nice smooth backing. I'll smooth all this down in a second. Nice smooth backing in here so that your mold is not going to lock on to that stuff and give you trouble. And everything's smooth, and there we go. Get smooth. There you go. You can see though, stuff's like kind of gooey. So it's working really, really well. I think I forgot this part here. It doesn't matter if it's perfect because you're not going to use any of this. It's strictly for mechanical purposes that you're doing this. Okay, it's pretty much the same thing you saw last time when I did the back plates, but now we're making molds of the back plates with the ears, and what I'm using is some CA. Now, one thing you got to know when you're working with silicone rubber, RTV, and one thing you got to know about silicone is that it will leak. And so what I'm doing here, when I attach these to the plastic here, is I'm sealing the edge with Kicker and a lot of CA. And what that's doing, of course, is making a seal between it. It still may leak. There's even so, what you do after you pour the silicone is that you stand by and watch, because if it has even the tiniest little pinhole, that stuff will leak out and run all over the place. In fact, I remember making a mold with a certain makeup artist. We stayed up very late at night doing this mold, and it was huge, and I think it took like 50 gallons of silicone. Well, silicone is $500 roughly for 5 gallons. So you can imagine 50 gallons what happened when we came in the next morning and there was a tiny little pinhole and this huge giant mold. We poured it on the top, it'll all run out the bottom and onto the floor. Yes, sirree, Bob. And so, believe me, it will run everywhere. So here we go. We've got a fair amount of spacing for the silicone. I don't want to use a lot as it is. I'm going to end up using a lot to pour into this and get what I need. So what I'm going to do next is mix up the silicone and pour it in until it's just about that high over the tops of the ears on each of these, which is going to be a lot of silicone. This is not inexpensive to do, but it's absolute assurance that you will always have your castings. If I was to break one, even though it's made out of plastic material, I could still replace it and it'd still work inside the mold because they're all made from the same masters. Plus I can replicate these, duplicate them over and over again for other projects for the same actors or actresses. My memory card ran out again, of course, just at the point where I had this stuff mixed and I was going to pour it in. And once you mix it, you got to pour it. So, and it takes a while to transfer the card, so we missed that step. But you can see already it's starting to set up. Basically, it is a two-part base and catalyst, room temperature vulcanizing rubber, RTV, silicone, and you mix the two components together, 100 to 10 of the accelerator, which is a dark blue color, and mix it together, and you pour it, and you get this wonderfully rubbery, flexible material that you can cast model parts or anything you want out of. So you missed that part, but it's really not much to it. You put it on a scale and you mix up the amounts and you pour it in and brush it around and into stuff. But even if you don't do that, it's so tenacious about getting into every nook and cranny and crevice that it will get all the detail and then some. So I'm just making sure that I have no actual leaks, which it doesn't look like I do, before I leave tonight, but it's already you can see getting pretty hard, so it's not going to leak on me. And tomorrow we will open this up and we're going to pour up two-part polyurethane resin, and the stuff I'm going to be using is Lumelite White, which is somewhat flexible. It's not brittle, so it won't break really easy, which is good. And after we get those cast up, it'll look just like what you saw that I worked on, except that it'll all be white, all be one color, and I will start sculpting the ears. Well, here we are. It's all set up, so let's open these up. It'll sit for a good 12 hours or more. Silicone only takes a few hours to cure, but before it's really useful is 12 to 24 hours. And of course, if this is glued down, I can't just pull it off that easily, but now I can get to this. Nothing sticks to silicone. You can see that we have our form in there. And you can see how rubbery it is and how it just lets go. And you should be able just to pull these right out without any problem whatsoever. Always go load first. There we go. And here we have a nice mold that replicates the exact same thing. This is great. These are really coming out nice. I'm going to trim away this. We're going to open up the rest of them. Guys, I love opening molds. There's something neat about it. So it's always been a thrill ever since I made my first mold, which was the Planet of the Apes, of course. It was the first thing I ever did was make a life mask. My old friend Doug Jones made a life mask off me with muilage, and which was a material you melted down. I remember laying on my back in his kitchen while he poured the stuff on me. And got a life mask, and I wanted to do Planet of the Apes. So Planet of the Apes is what I did my first time. And it was just a thrill opening up the mold and all that. Got a little bit of clay in here, not much. But that's behind the ears. So we got another good one there. They're not too thin up here, which is good. So these are exactly what we need. I'm gonna open up this one now. Where's the tape? There's the tape. And I can pour any kind of material I want in these molds. Plaster, stone, plastic, resin, polyester resin, epoxy resin. It doesn't matter. Nice thing is too is that the clay this clay, it's nice and cold, it doesn't stick well, cleans out of the originals quite well. So pull that one out. Same deal. I'm so glad I did this because now I never have to worry about there being a problem with ears. Another really good one. No problems found. It might make sense. Well, it's easy to tell whose are whose, especially after I pour them. I mark these, but too late for that now. That one out. I believe that was a Paul there. And I think this is a Brandon. You can tell because Brandon's ears are a lot thinner, and it's a Brandon. Those Brandon there. So these are both Brandons. And these are, and see, I got another good one. Really nice. Perfect. No bubbles. Nothing. Isn't that neat? Neat and clean, just how I like it. So that's how we do that. And what we're going to do next is we're going to clean these molds out and we're going to pour some resin in them. So here's what we're going to use. We're going to use white illuminite, and I'll show it up to you close so you can make reference to it. This is my favorite. There are many polyurethane-based two-part casting resins. Flexible, non-flexible. This one's somewhat flexible, which I like. It's not so brittle as some of the others. It comes out white, which I also like. So it mixes 50-50, and despite that, no, these are actually level for a change. And so we're going to mix it. We're going to use a scale. We're going to counterbalance it for the weight of the cup, and we're going to pour 2 parts in, enough to fill these, or at least to do 2 at a time in one of these. So we're going to mix that stuff up. We're going to come back here, and we're going to show you it being poured in. Okay, we just weigh the stuff, and we're going to mix it up. Equal parts. Very simple material to work with, and it splashes all over the place and makes a huge mess, which is why the plastic is down. I stir it until I see it start to go clear, which it does. This Lumilite, especially when it's cold, this particular brand, Lumilite, the white goes off a bit slowly compared to some of the others, which is good. It gives you more working time, but it gets into everything, and I mean everything. It's really not a problem. I should have probably powdered these molds, but being that the nature they are, I doubt I'll get many bubbles at all. I'll do that one. I don't know how much it's going to take. I just want to cover the keys, so I got enough left I can do this. And it does stick to itself rather well, which is a huge advantage. Looks like I'd only have to mix up a little bit more to get what I need. So it'll go off right before your eyes. I'm going to run this down behind here, make sure I have no bubbles. There's a little cliff right there. Edge, shelf, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, I got a few bubbles out of there. I'm going to do that again on this side. Get those bubbles on the shelf out. But that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to mix up some more and do this one. In a minute here, we'll open it up. I figure I'd let the video run here because you're going to see it turn white before your eyes here in a second. I'm just mixing another batch, a smaller cup for the one here. But you can see, you know, it's been a while since I mixed it, and I even had the camera off for a while because it's only in the 60s in here, and which is nice and cool for us. And mix up this one and dump it in. If you look there, you can see the other ones are turning white. And that's because it's going off. And that takes care of that one, and basically this one could use a little more, so I'll just pour it in there. Won't hurt anything. And we've got this. Now we'll be able to pop these out in a while, and in fact I'm thinking about filling them all the way to the top, so I'm going to do another batch, but you get the idea. We'll be back to open these in about 20 minutes. Okay, as you can see, that stuff's, it's hard, and it's probably hard enough to remove, but you can see how easily it separates. But what we're gonna do is just let it sit till it cools off before we pull them out. That way there's no distortion, no warping. You should never pull this stuff out of any mold until it's all cooled down. You guys out there in Garage Kit Land. Okay, these are cooled off. They're just like, it's at room temperature now. So we're gonna open it up. That's what I love about silicone. And nothing sticks to it. And there you go. And that's just, it's beautiful. I mean, look at that. It's an exact replica of what we had. And I just found out I can run foam latex on top of this. By having all this filled in, we're going to have a little gap there between his ear, and it won't fit up in there snug, but it allows the appliance to come off so much easier, and because it's going to be made out of either very low density foam. In other words, I'm going to foam up the foam latex. I'm not going to foam it up to a high rise so it's super soft for facial expression. You don't need that. It'll be denser, much like just latex, but with some softness to it and a nice fine edge on it. So this actually helps. I know other people that have done this very same thing, and it works fine. Because after all, I mean, look at Paul's ears. They're on there, and they're just latex, and they blend so well. So, these are both of Brandon's, Stacy's ears, and we're going to pop out Paul's now. There's a little bit of clay in here, which really isn't going to hurt anything. Still, if I poured them again, they would come out completely white without any little pieces in them, but this really isn't going to hurt anything. It's more of a stain than anything else. So there's Paul's. And they're going to get more clay on them. Then we're going to pull out Paul's other one here. And there you go. Really, really nice. So that's exactly what we need to get going. And of course now we don't have problems with, if I did that to stone, they'd break. Put that much weight on it. You can see it actually flexes a bit. So this is really good. And now, wow, are these molds clean? So, but you know, we cleaned them out, but at the same time, this stuff should not be a problem whatsoever. So, next thing to do is soften up some clay and clay press Leonard Nimoy's ears so that we can start attaching that clay to here. So what I'm doing now is slicing up some of the Chavant clay. This is the medium clay, or the softer clay that they make. This is slicing off some chunks of it here. I'm going to put it in this cup. I'm going to put it in the oven behind me and get it really soft. I mean, soft enough that I can actually press it into Leonard's molds and get a clay press out of it. That's my hope. It may not work. I've never tried this before. So that should be enough to give me the press I need, at least to do the first one. We're going to put it in the oven. Okay. Alright. I know it looks like a house here, but actually This is a studio. We're in the back bay, and these are the stairs that lead upstairs to the upstairs loft, which is a great workroom upstairs. We have a table here we eat at sometimes, and of course, every hall. I did this a while ago. And an oven. And this oven is an old air-circulated oven, convection oven, and I got it up to about 150. I don't want to go too much hotter than that. And that will soften this clay rather quickly, and then we're going to press it in to Leonard's molds. Here is Leonard Nimoy's original ears, and these are replicas, but they are the original ears made from the original masters that I sculpted back in 1978. And these were the masters that were poured into the first set of molds that I ever made. And I made these molds at my home lab and then took them back to Paramount. And they poured these up so we could make more of these so that we would be able to run the ears multiple times, not just one set every so many hours. You foam it up, it bakes for 4 hours, you let it cool down, you take them out. We needed many sets. Plus they broke or cracked, we had ones to replace them. So these are just like exactly the original ear molds. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the clay and press it in there. And here we go. We've got some clay here. I'm going to press it into the mold like so. And it's cooling off very quickly because of the mold's cold. In fact, I might want to stick this back in the oven and do it that way, but I think this is going to work. This is what we call a clay press. I want to get in there. It'll be close enough for jazz, as they would say. Always helps to be in frame. Now we don't care too much about down here because, well, we're going to be blending that, reshaping it to adjust to Paul or Brendan's ears. So this should release quite easily. I didn't quite get what I wanted back here, but that's the back. And I don't care much about the back. So we're going to fill that in a little bit, like this and like that, while it's still soft, and close the mold again. And we'll be very close. It'll save me a lot of time trying to make these accurate to the original. Now we're going to let that cool a bit, and it should just lift right out of there. That's the theory. This clay has already cooled off a great deal, very quickly. It's a shot in the dark. Darren and I were talking about this, as you know, from watching the video, and we might get what we need. That's what Mick Jagger said anyway. But if you try sometime, you might find, get what you need. I'm going to do that again. Yeah, it's working actually. Now at the front, we got a pretty good shape on the back. Now we got to stick a popsicle stick in there or something and wiggle and pop this loose. Okay, so we're going to try to get this loose. I put a popsicle stick in there, and we're going to, and I got it to come loose. And there you go. I've got pretty much his whole ear there intact, and what we want to do now is make it fit on Brendan's ears. Brandon's ears. Sorry, we have a Brendan in the family, so that sort of happens naturally. I'm going to pick off the overflow here. You pretty much have the ear here. It'll sculpt up very quickly, but I have exactly Leonard's shape, and we're going to fit it to his ears. Now, his ears are a little smaller, so than Nimoy's, and these, of course, have not shrank at all. So I need to dig out the clay inside with a metal tool and fit this on. So what I'm going to do is try to hollow this out without causing too many distortion problems, which is not going to be easy. But I didn't think this would be really easy. I was just hoping maybe it might be a way. And James Crawley bless his heart, originally called me about trying to do this very thing. He said, is there any way we could adapt Leonard Nimoy's actual ears that you did to our actor? And I said, well, James, I said, I don't think so, but we can try. Nothing else, I'll go ahead and make you some new ears for Brandon. And that's kind of how it went. So I've carved out a little bit in there. You can see it's starting to fit down. But these ears are clearly bigger. Nimoy had some large ears. Leonard did. We'll see though. They're getting on there. So I'm just going to have to adapt these a bit more. And you can see this is carving out pretty well. So I'm going to keep doing this till I get it down far enough over his ears. It doesn't really matter much about the back, but it's working doing this. I'm really kind of surprised. I didn't have a lot of faith in it, but wow, it is working. I'm just trying to see where it is I need to lose more clay. This clay gets hard enough when it gets cold that I'm not distorting it much, which is a great part of Chavant clay. It is very hard clay. And we're just going to keep doing this and doing this and doing this until we get it to fit. We're getting really thin right there, which is good. I'm so amazed that this could be done. I really am. You're watching this happen. This is the first time in the history of Star Trek that some crazy man has tried to adapt Leonard's ears to another actor playing Spock. But I just about have done it. So now the ears are pretty big, so I'm thinking what I'm going to do is cut down across here and drop them a bit more to there's not, I hate to do it, but I don't see that I have much choice, so I'm just going to kind of do this. They'll still be the tips, so that's working a little better. It's just going to take some fudging. As you can see, they're starting to blend down into his ears, to Stacy's ears, Brandon's ears, and that, by golly, is going to work. But I need to cut down the height of them some more, so we're going to lose some of this. It's a cheat, but it's a good one if we can actually get this to work. So I'm going to keep working away at this, and when we come back, I'll show you more. This is really, really working out very well. I really didn't think it would. I'm quite surprised. I'm going to take a little turpenoid here, and you can see, I think you can see from the back, the fit's good too. And I think, to flatten him back against his head a bit more. And that's a little tricky. We don't want them, sticking out. But I managed to do that as well. So they're back. They have that. Fred used to take toupee tape back here and stick back Leonard's. He told me this. Leonard's ear to the back of his head there, and so I don't know if we can be able to do that or not. And everyone's ears are different, but the curve in this way is quite nice, and the curve back behind the head is nice. It's what it should be. Now to make the sculpture a little bit more cleaned up with a little bit of tools. Now, back in those days, we didn't put pore texture in and stuff. We really weren't thinking about that, and I was trying to replicate the ears the way they were done for the TV show. Back in those times, of course, we did not have HD. We did not have high resolution photography, and even in the theaters, the resolution wasn't what it is today. We're showing movies in 4K. And I'm going to put a little pore texture on these ears. But other than that, the sculpture is the original sculpture that I did on Leonard all those years ago. Now I'm going to take a little bit of turpenoid here in this brush. I'm going to smooth this stuff out. and just kind of, because you know, I manhandled the sculpture a bit. This stuff is going to make it really go smooth again, the way it should be. And this is well adapted to Brandon's ear. I'm very pleased with how well that worked out. And in a matter of minutes here, we'll have a pretty nice ear, because this stuff will smooth it out really well. So we're going to do that. We're going to smooth all this out and make it all beautiful. Now, how I would have done this differently had I not adapted the original sculpture is I would have, of course, sculpted it, built it up out of clay, looked at the original, and made it as close as I could. But in this case, it's not just as close, it is the original sculpture. So we'll come back after I got this all smoothed up, and I'll show you some of the ways I put texture on it and stuff. But this is looking really good. Okay, so this ear is pretty much done. You can see it really does look very much like Leonard's original ears. I'm very pleased with that adaptation. I think it worked out really, really well. So now, of course, we got to get one on this one. So we're going to clay press and do the same thing again. We're going to take that, we're going to take this, and I'm going to go get the clay. Okay, so here we go. This clay is a lot softer and a lot harder this time. I mean, a lot softer this time. It's gushing on me, but it's going to go cold fast. So now I'm going to press that in there like so, and I'm going to push that up in there like so, and it's sticking to me, which I don't want it to do. I'm hoping to actually kind of hollow it out. It's really soft. And I'm hollowing out first this time. Well, it's still really soft, like that. I don't know how this will apply to, you know, someone who wants to make Vulcan ears on their own, because you're not actually seeing me sculpting. I'm clay pressing from original molds, but I'm sure that what I'm doing here can be applied to other projects, perhaps. You may have never thought about clay pressing a mold before. And like, for instance, if you have a mold of a sculpture you've done and the mold is getting worn out, and you want to make a new master, you can clay press with water-based clay or this kind of clay your mold, and when you pull the mold apart, it's going to damage the sculpture somewhat, but 90% of the sculpture is there, and you can retool it and make a new mold, so that works really good too. So we're going to wait for this to get a little cooler before we open it. It should get cool pretty fast because the mold is cold. I thought about preheating the mold, but I'm glad it didn't, because this is going to go and get hard much quicker this way, being that the mold is cold. So we'll open this up here in a minute. I can see it quite didn't close all the way there. It might even open now. Yeah, it did. You can see there's like the entire ear. It's a little fatter than it should be, but it's pretty much all there, and I can clean it up. And we're gonna have to wait still though for the rest of it to cool a bit before I pull it out. But you can see the shape of the back of the ear. It's all there, and it's hollow up inside here, so we'll be able to slip that right over. Really, really nice. Okay, I put this in some cool water, let the cool water run over it. Now it's as hard as a rock, so I'm going to try to break this free of the mold. Should come out pretty easy. There, woo, boy, that come out easy. And there's our clay press. Now, this one didn't come out as good as the other one, but it's still all there, and you can see how the seams just break right off. But it's all there. I just have to clean it up a bit, and we need to graft it on to here, just like I did the other one. And we're going to do that, and when we come back, you'll see both ears all done and ready to be molded. Okay, so I'm getting the other one adapted pretty well too from the clay press, and it'll end up looking like this one very shortly once I get back from lunch. So here's our other ear now fitted to Brandon's mold, and they are slightly different because so were the sculpts that John Chambers did, because, you know, no two ears are alike. So, interestingly enough, in the case of Leonard's ears, this one is narrower this way, and this one's wider this way. We have the absolute reverse with Brendan. Zoom out. And this one is like a mirror image of that one, and this one's a mirror image of this one. But that's because his ears, this ear is wider, and this one's narrower. No two ears on any human being are precisely and exactly the same. So now that this has been shaped, we're going to smooth it down and add some detail or texture using one of these texture pads I made off an orange, which is what we used back then. We're going to do this. Now we're going to take a little bit of the turbinoid and pour it in there. And we take a scrubby brush. And this is a disposable half-inch brush that I cut short like that because it really works great as a scrubber. And then I just kind of scrub the whole thing, because this turbinoid, what it does is it acts as a solvent and breaks this stuff down. There we go. And you go one direction with it, and then you go the other direction, and you get like that way and that way. And it actually smooths it out too. Much like using one of these, which is a piece of saw blade from a bandsaw bent around. So I've got this side, I got teeth, and you can scrub stuff down that way and get it really smooth. That just needs to be done more like that. There. Anyway, so that smooths everything down, thins out the edges. You can see there, it naturally wants to blend in that area, so I'm going to let it rather than fight it. This is the one area that I'm a little worried about, because if I cut this down to be a really good taper blend into his actual ear, it does not look like Leonard's ear. So I'm trying to keep it the same and have some kind of blender edge there. It's a bit of a cheat, but I think we got away with it. I have done this before and it works. Anyway, we're going to scrub this all down, get it all smooth and nice, and then when that stuff evaporates and settles in, we're going to then get it behind the ear now. You can see how nice it is and how why it's so important to create that space. Oh, you can't see it. To create that space, to angle that ear so you can get behind it to do what I'm doing right now. Not that we ever see back there. It's just a detail thing. I like my pieces to be finished off even where you can't see them. So we got a little bit too much of a point there. Check it against that one, and we'll dull it down a bit. The next thing we're going to do after this sets up is put texture on it. You can see how smooth it's getting now and really looking nice, because this stuff makes a great solvent. Really breaks down this Chavant clay very, very well. Also, you start with the scrub brush, and then I don't see where my other brush is, but there's a soft brush. You use a soft brush like this to get to smooth down the coarseness of the heavier brush. And you just keep getting it smoother and smoother and smoother. Like that. Now I'm noticing that white line there. That is the actual ear cast showing through. We have to build clay over that. So here we go. We got both of the ears shaped. I still have a little bit of work to do on them before I start doing the overflows, which are these. You can see in here. This is clay brought right up close to the blender edge, like with that close, so that when the two parts of the mold go together, and I'll show you a silicone mold here in the middle in a minute, it actually cuts the edge and gives you a very fine blender edge. So, what a great week. Lots done on this, and we're going to come back to this next week, and you will see more of the progress on this. You will see the mold making process and actually making the ears themselves out of the polyurethane material, which will be prosthetics of very fine edges. And yes, we're going to get back to that. do the hands on the creature, and we're also going to get back to the Saturn V, and we'll be also finally getting back to doing more work on this. I have to get this Enterprise done and get it done quick because it's going to be taken away in July, or before July, probably in June. And so I've only got a few months to finish it. We're going to try to finish it in less time. And so we're still on with this. And also, thank you, Jeff at JT Graphics, for sending the decals to put on the speedboat so we can finally finish it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks you for all your support. Thank you for Patreon. Thank you for VHX that you have been watching our video on demand, and the new subscribers that keep coming in. We so much appreciate you, and we so much love you too. We'll see you next week.